Hey Marquise, I have a question.
Yeah.
Would it be like wrong of me to be like tell the audience and be like, you know how you can do the right thing is by subscribing and liking.
Hey, yeah, no, I think that's perfect. You gotta do it, man. Yes,
You should do that.
Okay. Well, now they know.
that's
Now
a
they
cool
know.
opening. Yeah, hell yeah.
This is episode 19 of I Finally Saw, where today I finally saw Do the Right Thing. And, well, hello and welcome to our wonderful audience. Starting off here with something a little bit more, I don't know, different for us. I'm joined once again by our wonderful regular Marquise.
Hey, y'all.
Marquise, what up? What up?
And then I'm joined by two wonderful new faces on the show. I'm joined by Dion.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Super honored to be on the pod. No doubt about it. I'm a filmmaker. I'm a writer, and I'm just a simple man trying to make his way through the universe.
Oh yeah,
Real.
and then last but far from least, I am joined by Trey.
Hi everyone, I'm Trey. Thank you, Austin and Marquise, for having me. Like I said, I'm so proud of you for this podcast. It is so cool, and I think I'm so honored that you thought of me to be in this panel for this episode. So, thank you. Like I said, I met Austin through Dion, so it really is a very small world, and I'm just happy to be here. I'm a writer. That's it.
You're a kindred spirit as well. They put that on your resume.
Okay, I'll put that on my resume.
Oh yeah.
Put that as some special skills on LinkedIn.
Oh yeah.
Austin,
So I have a little icebreaker question for the two of you that I ask everybody the first time they're on the show. And we'll start with Trey, and then we'll go to Dion. And so I just want to ask you right now, what is one movie, and it doesn't have to be your favorite movie of all time, but just what is one movie right now that you feel like you have on loop, that just like, if nobody can think of anything, if you need to pick me up, if you're just like, oh, I'm just going to throw that on, I don't care how many times I've seen it, what is that movie for you right now?
Oh, that's hard. I'm gonna say Robots, the animated movie Robots. You know that one with like Robin Williams, Ewan McGregor, Amanda Bynes. I really like that movie, and I was very young when that movie came out, and it just stuck with me because at the time, do you remember when like movies would like partner up with like fast food restaurants and they would give like toys of the characters? Yeah. With like the kids' meals. So I remember, because my grandmother was a bad cook, sorry to deviate, but she would always put me and my sister to Burger King because she could not cook to save her life. And so we would go like every other weekend. So I had most of the main cast of the Robots. And I remember she bought that movie because I had the main characters. Because I got the toys first before I ever watched the movie. So that is very special to me because it was just like, I mean, it's a good movie. I'm a teacher by day, so I show it to my kids when I don't feel like working. I'm like, all right, shut up. Watch Robots. Leave me alone.
That's a good pick. Dion, what about you?
For me, a feel-good kind of comfort food movie. I'll go with Back to the Future.
Ooh,
the first one. I'll go Back to the Future.
That's a good one.
It's a classic. That story and just the acting and just that musical score. It's all just, it all comes together and just meshes well. I can watch it every year, anytime, and it's a feel-good film.
What is it? Or the whole Earth Angel scene every time that gets me so excited.
Yes.
But yeah, so we're doing a new sort of thing for our second season on the show, where certain months are going to be sort of special months where we talk about specific things, because I sort of had a realization as I was initially crafting the show where I was like, if we only ever talk about like the traditional sort of American top 100 movies of all time. They're mostly going to be made movies by old or dead white guys. And I mean, no disrespect to those people. I mean, unless they're horrible people, I don't know them. But like, you know, obviously some of those movies have stuck around for a reason, but I was like, those aren't the only definitive important movies in my mind. And so, you know, throughout the year, I wanted to start, you know, taking an opportunity to just look at stuff from different voices. And so it's February. This is releasing in February for Black History Month. So I wanted to talk about, I had Marquise help me pick out 2 movies of just notable black origin, and I wanted to talk about them on the show. So for today, that is a Spike Lee joint, Do the Right Thing. And so, as I typically do, I want to introduce this movie with a paragraph that I have copy and pasted from Wikipedia because I never write anything myself. Do the Right Thing is a 1989 American comedy drama film produced, written, and directed by Spike Lee. The story explores a Brooklyn neighborhood and the simmering racial tension between its African-American residents and the Italian-American owners of a local pizzeria, culminating in tragedy and violence on the hottest day of the summer.
Is the devil.
I've been here 25 years. LaSalle's famous pizzeria is here to stay. Trust me.
Mookie, the last time I trusted you, we ended up with a son.
I guess we'll start with Marquise because, well, this will be interesting. We'll go around. I'll start with Marquise, but I have a feeling that some of us have probably very similar introductions to this movie. I don't know, depending on when we were introduced to it, but Marquise, do you remember... Marquise, do you remember when you were introduced to this movie?
Yeah, so I had never. So the first time I heard of this movie and watched this movie was in film school. I had never heard of it before. I had knew Spike Lee. I had heard of Spike Lee a lot just because he's made so many, you know, more like black culturally black movies since then. But I never heard of Do the Right Thing. But the first time I had ever watched it was in film school.
Trey, what about you?
Yeah,
I've heard of Spike Lee growing up because my parents were adults when he started making his movies. Like, they were fresh out of high school, in the military, so they watched him grow into what he is today. And so I watched the beginning of it. So I was introduced to Do the Right Thing through a movie called School Days, and then being interested by School Days because of the topic of that, you start going backwards or forwards in his filmography. And then I stumbled on Do the Right Thing, and I was maybe like 5th grade, 6th grade when I watched the movie. And I remember having a visceral reaction because it was short after the murder of Trayvon Martin. So I remember that. I was a little angsty little motherfucker. I was like, oh, Spike Lee, yes. But that was how I was introduced to it.
Dion, what about you?
Word, man. I think for me, I didn't really know about Spike Lee and really, I guess, filmography and movies in general until I was in my teenage years. And I was a big time, still am, Public Enemy fan. And, you know, the song Fight the Power.
Oh, yeah.
And Fight the Power. You know, that's like that's the main theme for the film. And then that's kind of how I became aware of the film. And then I think over the years I would see like it being on reruns on like BET or on I don't think Bounce was around at the time, or like UPN. That's an old school channel. They used to have like Martin and a whole bunch of black sitcoms and TV shows. UPN, like it's the CW now, I think. But but I would see like bits and pieces of it on TV on reruns. And then eventually, like, you know, in the 2000s, Spike Lee was going off still with his career with Denzel Washington and a couple others. So it was through music and just reruns on TV. That's how I became aware of Do the Right Thing.
For me, it's very, not just similar, it's identical to Marquise. We were literally in the same lecture hall, in the same period, in the same day, the first time we saw this movie. This was in our history to motion picture classroom. We watched this movie, and that was interesting because like a month prior to that, which just kind of shows you how long sometimes it takes me to put pen to paper, but a month prior to that, It was when I had first really started discussions sort of with myself and with some people I knew about launching this podcast, and when I was drafting a list of movies that we wanted to talk about. Did I want to talk about new movies? Did I want to talk about movies that were maybe like a little bit older? How old? Like, what were the rules of the kinds of movies we wanted to talk about? And I kept looking up, like, what are the top 100 movies of all time? Top 1,000 movies of all time? Top 50 movies of all time? And this was one of those movies that I was not immediately familiar with. Like, there were movies I had seen, obviously, like Back to the Future, that was always on there. There were movies that I hadn't seen, but that I had heard of, like Citizen Kane. This was a movie I was not familiar with, but I kept seeing it over and over and over again on these lists, and I was like, do the right thing. I wonder what this is. And it was like a month later then that we saw it for the first time in film school. And that was... I mean, it was harrowing. I think, not to kind of get ahead of myself when in terms of discussing this movie, but the one thing I've if I had to pick a word to describe it, I guess it's or I guess two words. It's like it's permanently relevant. In a way, I mean, it was relevant well before it came out. Obviously, when it came out, and even still today, and so. That's why that experience of seeing it for the first time, it's always stuck with me, and so that was, I think, as a result, it's why, like, when we were having discussions about, like, when we're first sort of doing this kind of sub-series on the show, what were some of the first movies we'd like to include, and I think that was my sort of first reaction to seeing this was part of the reason that it spurred having it on the show. But yeah, I think with that sort of being said, I think that's preamble and introductions out of the way, so I want to transition now into just sort of a general discussion, and I don't know, did any of you have sort of opening broad thoughts about this movie?
I'll go first if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. For me, rewatching now, sort of graduated from film school and looking at it through a different lens, I really appreciate some of the technical aspects of like some of the shot selections and the lighting and all these other things. Like I was just not aware of watching it like on TV, or watching some bits and pieces on YouTube or something like that. The craftsmanship, I guess I appreciate the craftsmanship into like how it looked and how it came to be, how dealing with so many extras in one scene. And like, okay, let's reset, and everyone has to be in unison with each other. Those small details that a lot of people don't really appreciate just watching the film, but we know how hard it is to make movies and be filmmakers. So I really appreciate the craftsmanship of this film. And it's a time capsule for New York City back in the 80s. It's a time capsule. My dad grew up in the Bronx in the 70s, and I would visit in the 90s, I'm dating myself, I'm old. In the 90s, I would visit family in New York City in the boroughs. So we never go to time. We always went to, like, I won't say the hood, but we never went to Times Square. We never went to Central Park. We go to the Bronx, Brooklyn, all the boroughs, right? Like, man, I want to see all the nice spots. But just even watching the film now, it's a nice, like, kind of memorabilia of like that time piece of New York City back in the day, and just the atmosphere. Like, I mean, it's different nowadays, New York City compared to back then, but I think it's a perfect time capsule of that piece of history, especially for like New York City. Mm-hmm. I view it in a way like people see Spider-Man 1, and I think at the end they're throwing stuff at the Green Goblin, like, you mess with one of us, you mess with all of us, like that feeling of like, oh, that's New York. Like, Do the Right Thing is like definitely that's a New York like movie, you know what I mean? So that's one of the aspects I really liked about it. And just like the cast, like, I mean, you got Samuel L., like you have like such like iconic like actors and actresses in that all coming together. John Turturro, yeah, just like seeing them in kind of like their youth and just cutting their teeth on these roles is really cool and special to see.
Giancarlo
I don't think anybody back then. Giancarlo Esposito. Yes.
My God. He steals the show.
steals the show.
Honestly, it's like refreshing to see him in a role that's not just Gus Fring. You know what I mean?
He's not evil. He's not an evil villain or like an anti-hero. He's just
No.
Yeah,
person.
no, literally.
They messed up his J's. He just wanted some brothers on the wall.
He just wants some brothers.
That's all he
that
wanted.
was it.
That's all he wanted.
Can I get some extra cheese on that mother? Like,
Yeah.
That's $2.
that's $2. He's like,
I didn't even
What?
realize this. I didn't even realize this until I saw this again in preparation for this movie. But Martin Lawrence is in this, and he's just like one of the guys hanging out on the
he's
street.
just
I think this was
sidekick.
like his first big like acting job, and I was like, wow, like what a like
This is like the precursor to him like blowing up to what we know him today. Because he was
Yeah,
just
I
doing
think
like
this is, like,
stand-up
when he first,
comedy
like, was-
at the time.
Yeah.
exactly. I mean, Rosie Perez. I mean, come on now.
Yeah.
Come on now. That cast is really. That cast is special, yo. That cast is definitely special, and just the humor and the comedy of all of it. Radio Raheem. One of the scenes when he goes in the Korean shop and he's trying to get the batteries, and he's like, "D mother, D," like that's D's like. That's like for me with growing up, like that's just even though I never watched it fully per se, like growing up I would always hear like that clip that'd be coming up in like songs or just different parts of the internet or just people were quoted or whatever. It was really cool, man. It's a really good experience. So I'll be watching it again.
Oh yeah. I mean, going to the very start of it is this perhaps I mean to me is this maybe one of the most iconic opening credit sequences in anything. To me, it's always stuck out in my mind since I saw it. She was going for it, man.
She was
Yeah.
loved it every second of it, man. Every second. I think Ruth Carter. She was a costume designer. I think it's the same Ruth Carter that won the Oscar for Black Panther's costume design.
Wow.
I want to say yeah. I'm actually looking up the crews.
Yeah, look it up here.
Production.
Cause I ain't gonna lie, I was digging all those Hawaiian shirts. So I'm like, I want the one Sal wore.
Yeah.
I want the one Samuel L. Jackson wore in the studio. Like I'm about to buy those joints and rock them for the summer.
That's like that's one of the things I can appreciate about Spike Lee. Like he's just like a very like distinct voice as a director for sure, and like he has a very distinct style that comes with him as well. I don't know. I appreciate it for sure.
Yeah,
the Spike Lee-isms is great.
Yeah,
it feels almost like a play. It's just maybe like I just always feel that way about movies that it's always just one central location and you have this sort of ensemble sort of a thing.
Yeah.
And all
I
those
agree.
like little characters are so immediately charming, like the mayor and mother's sister and the three older guys that are always just hanging out at the same wall the entire time and the Puerto Ricans that are like they don't really even do that much, but they're just sort of there. And yeah, it's just there's you're instantly. I think the camaraderie that probably comes with making like a shoestring budget movie like this just wonderfully translated to the camaraderie that Dion's sort of talking about that just sort of comes with being New Yorkers. I have to imagine, and that instantly I think kind of endears you to this environment.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of my favorite parts about this movie. It's not really like a movie where it has like a lot of like plot development. It's more of like a documentary or like a character study of like this tiny neighborhood in New York with like the rising undertone of like the tension between the community and this little pizza shop. You know what I mean? And so I like it in that way that it doesn't feel like a movie. I feel like I'm just experiencing what it's like to live in this block in New York. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
For sure. It is the same. Ruth Carter, it's the same. It's her from Black Panther.
I thought so. Okay.
Yeah. It's her. So, that's pretty cool, man. And the Spike Lee-isms, we have that jazz music, hip-hop music.
Yeah.
He always does, like, I think, like, these POV shots, too.
Yeah.
These POV shots where it's impersonal. like in your face.
Like, back up, wait a minute now.
No, I
You gotta buy
especially
me a
love the
drink
one.
first.
No, I especially love the one where like Raheem's explaining like
with
the
the
loving eight.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like he's,
That shit was cool, yo.
Yeah, I know.
That was dope.
Yeah.
You know, I think for me, Austin, you said something that was really, I never thought of it that way, but it's almost like a play with how it's like one central location, and especially his earlier stuff. Like, if, for example, I recommend that if you guys haven't seen School Days, to watch School Days, because it is like it's a musical. So it has like the huge ensemble, but it also has like the very shoestring budget. And it's one of those situations where it's like, we all know a play where you have one guy who's like, okay, he was a cop, and now he's the barkeeper, and now he's the firefighter. It's like, it's the same people in rotation playing different parts. And I thought that was very intentional. And even though in this movie in particular, there wasn't that, but it felt like you knew a Raheem, you knew a mother sister, you knew a Sal, you knew a Vito, you knew all of these people, whether it was in a metropolis like New York City or a country western town in the middle of nowhere, or, you know, somewhere in between. So it felt like, even though it was talking about commentary that a lot of people probably understood or didn't understand, you could still relate to the feeling of community, whether there was tension in the community or just people in the community. Like you said, if you grew up in like a small town, you knew a mother, sister. It's like, this lady, she knows sister and mom, her motherfucking and so tell me what to do, right? And so you knew people like that, or you knew like, stay away from Sal's Pizza Shop because there's going to be some problems. You're going to run into a Vito, right? So it's one of those situations where you understood a lot of like the context without having to live the experience of said context, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Sorry,
no, for sure.
I like to psychoanalyze stuff.
That's exactly what we want. That's exactly what we want. Yeah. That is
I was
exactly
taking
what we
notes.
want.
I was like, okay,
That was a
you
dope
intentional
breakdown,
with
man.
that.
Yeah. Sick.
So-
It's so relatable too. Like the one
It
conversation with the three guys sitting, like the conspiracies. Like, I was in the barbershop the other day, and we're having the same conversations. What did this come on? Like 89, 88?
89.
89. The same conversations in 2025.
Yeah.
Like, it's
2026. That's the crazy
2026.
part.
I'm here. 2026 having the same
gosh.
conversations, yo.
Yeah.
It's like, it's so relatable.
I will also say, because I'm not the film person, like, I went to school to write, so I don't know anything about like shots or anything about like the cool stuff y'all did while y'all were like, you get to touch cameras and equipment. I was touching a keyboard. All right, interior this, exterior that. Don't forget the comma. So I look at it more of a storytelling perspective, and like you said, Marquise, it doesn't have a lot of character development or like plot development. But I'm sorry, let me take it. It's a lot of plot development, but there's a lot of character development because you see how Moxie has to grow up, and you see how the neighborhood has to grow, the community has to grow up in this time, because at the end of the day, I think if you remove like everything else, they were just in a situation. They weren't living. They were just day to day, a routine. So then you have somebody kind of throw a monkey wrench into it. It's like watching people during like a car accident. You can't look away, and you're like, okay, what's going on over here? So then you have, those people who get out, pull over, get out and like record, like, oh my God, this car accident on I-81. It's just, it's really, he's very intentional. So whether, like I said, though, I think the word for him is intentional. Like, nothing was in the movie that it was like going to be a throwaway line or like a scene that needed to be cut or a scene that was too long. Everything was intentional, and it was left there for a reason. So I would love to see what was left on the cutting room floor.
Well, you bring that up.
There's probably like a lot of it.
Well, I'll get to that, but I know one of the most notably documented things that was changed from page to screen was actually the emotion of the very last interaction between Mookie and Sal. But I'll get to that. Yeah, so I mean, I guess just to recap, so we have Sal's famous pizzeria, who's in this predominantly like black neighborhood. It's sort of like it's literally a cornerstone establishment of this community. Sal has a scene later on where he's talking about how like he's proud that like so many kids in that neighborhood have grown up on his food. Like what an honor that has to be as someone who has that as like the one thing he feels like he can excel at. Mookie, who's I feel like kind of our main character or our protagonist in a way, is a delivery boy for this pizzeria, and Giancarlo Esposito is what is it, bugging out, right?
Bugging out.
Starts to try to organize a boycott against Sal's Famous Pizzeria because there are only pictures of Italians on the wall of fame within the restaurant.
Can I just point out how lame that is to have like a wall of fame of people who haven't even been to your restaurant? like, let's forget the fact that he's refusing to put like honestly, he could have just put a brother up on the wall, like just one. You know what I mean? But like none of those people actually ate at his restaurant. So for him to like dive so hard on that rock is like this really silly to me.
It's funny because like one of the pictures is of Robert De Niro, who was actually offered the role of Sal, and he ended up turning it down because he felt like it was too similar to other characters he'd played. But and there's like it's interesting to me. We're going back to that character development thing where like the first time I saw this was such an interesting experience because I kept wondering like where is this going for like the big duration of the movie. I was like, okay, like what is we brought up Back to the Future earlier, and Back to the Future is a very like linear movie for all of its time travel shenanigans. It's just like, okay, like we have this conversation about the clock tower being broken, wanting to like rescue it. That sets up the fact that there's a lightning strike, which is the entire like climax of the entire movie. Like Marty sets up his insecurities about this, and that pays off with him realizing that comes from his dad. Like we set up all these things about like the status of the family so that we have that contrast at the end. And this is like much more, again, kind of going back to that play, it reminds me, where it's like it's all these like little vignettes. And the first time I saw this, I was like, oh, I wonder where this is going. I wonder like where, like, and then like that last like section, like everything comes together, and you realize like what a high wire juggling act of all these like little things so that they could come together. Like that scene when Radio Raheem first comes into the pizzeria, and Sal is like telling him to turn down the music, and finally he does, and there's that like really like tension-filled interaction when he's just trying to order the pizza. You know, in the moment it's like that's a funny scene, but then like of course that ends up coming later because Radio Raheem is the only other person that initially agrees to help out with the boycott, and because he's like, I'm Radio Raheem and he made me turn down my music. You know, just, I mean, fair enough. It's in the name. And so seeing all those little things together and yeah, I mean, that the entirety of the third act is harrowing, and it still continues to be. And seeing how all those like little things come together.
I think you're absolutely right, man. It's not like a traditional movie. There's the setup like, oh, the goal is like kind of thrown at you, like, oh, Mookie, he has to get $500 to pay rent, or you have to go on this quest, or there's usually some kind of like goal where you'll know, like, okay, this is exactly where they have to accomplish this to basically win at the end of the film or whatever. And this was like just gradual, like a play, like just keep having character development, little interactions that build to that grand finale in the end. And I think that's pretty cool. It's kind of brave to do it that way too. You know, for like, especially for like, I know it's not quite independent, but I think Universal backed them on it. First, it's still like a studio production. I think it was pretty brave to go that route. I think the whole thing was pretty brave and bold at the time for kind of having that like a quality like I guess black film, and with that kind of a budget and attention to detail at the time being. Because I think I had like a interesting, I wouldn't say revelation, but I think when it comes to like black filmmaking, I know the 70s, we all know there's blaxploitation, right? You have Shaft, and you know what I'm saying, you have like all those cool kung fu or, you know, gangster films in the 70s, low budget, but we were making films. And I think Spike Lee kind of ushered in like more of a classically trained cinema, kind of like, you know, film school style to black storytelling on film.
Yeah, he made it
for the modern.
He made
era.
it more of an art. Like he made it more of an art than just like entertainment.
I agree. I think like what Dion was saying, you know, in the 70s you had black exploitation. I think in the 80s, 90s you had black liberation and black honesty in film. Where with black exploitation films, it was to show, black people can exist in these spaces unless they are taking care of you. Some wild out assassin who is fucking all these and pimping out and selling right. So now you have people where we can have hard conversations or do the inner work by watching these made up characters that we only are attached to for 2.5 hours, however long the film is, and walk away going, holy crap, these are what some people deal with on a day-to-day basis. So I think you have to look at the 80s, especially I think it was Spike Lee, he was ushering the new wave of like black classics. Because Austin, you said something at the beginning, like a lot of the classic movies are not predominantly like black, they're all predominantly white. So having a conversation like this, which I think is really awesome, we always kind of leave out the black storytellers because at the end of the day, don't get me wrong, Jurassic Park's cool, Back to the Future's cool, The Godfather's cool, Casablanca's cool, but let's talk about like Boys in the Hood, Do the Right Thing. Let's talk about Tales from the Hood, like Sinners. It's like hello, like Sinners right now is a prime example of it's being acknowledged for winning all of these things, but because the media is not ready to acknowledge, hey, it's telling a real story under the guise of vampires and the Mississippi Delta. You know, it's like we're telling real honest stories that we have to use analogies and figurative language for people to understand or even humanize a traumatic experience that some people or some marginalized communities deal with on the daily. So I think that's really cool. And I think to piggyback like what Dion said, black exploitation films were the 70s, 80s, 90s were black liberation and black honesty. So definitely. Yeah. See, again, I'm not the same person.
No, I mean,
I'm so analyzing everything.
We want that.
No, you're but you know, like you make a great point. Like, Do the Right Thing was probably like the first exposure for like some white people to the idea of black oppression, which is kind of sad to think about, honestly.
And you have to look at like. I look at like a city like New York that is so diverse, you wouldn't think there would be racism because you have the black neighborhood, and then you have the Italian neighborhood, then you have the Jewish neighborhood, then you have the Greek neighborhood, then you have the Vietnamese neighborhood, then you have the Chinese neighborhood, then you have the Japanese neighborhood, and then you have the Spanish neighborhood, and then you have the Puerto Rican neighborhood. And you would think they would all get along because they're all like on top of each other because New York is this big and you got this many people living on New York. You would think they would all get along, but it just... What do they say when you spend too much time with somebody? Tensions flare. They start getting on your nerves, and I think that is a prime example of that. Where I think, there was some problems, racism, but I think it was like we're all on top of each other on the hottest day of the year. Of course, tempers are gonna fly because I know when I get hot, y'all better leave me alone. Y'all better leave me alone. Y'all better leave me alone because I'm hot, I'm sweaty, and I'm gross.
I think I saw a video where Spike Lee said he watched the Twilight Zone when he was younger, and it was an episode where the rise of killings was building as temperature was rising on Earth, and he kind of got the inspiration from that with Do the Right Thing. A little bit of that with
I mean, that goes back to the stereotype scene, right? Where it's just everybody just screaming all these like horrible, like nonstop, almost rhythmically,
like poetry.
terrible. Yeah. It's and it goes back to, I mean, I think about Sal's like eldest son is a really interesting example. Again, like the way he carries this like hatred, I think, and
hatred,
and Mookie, I mean, is not like he calls him out. He's like, okay, who's your favorite movie star? Who's your favorite basketball player? And they're all these like. Mm-hmm. They're black. They're all black, and then he's like, okay, so like, do you want to be us or what? And he's like, no, like they're not, like those guys aren't black, and it's like they're again, like it's almost like I've never had to deal, I think, with racial oppression to the same degree or the same like extent, I think, as a lot of people, like Hispanic or black or otherwise. But I've been in the room when things are being said, and like I'm so used to it being like you're trying to hide it under a guise, like someone's trying to hide it under a guise, or so again. But every now and then, I'm sure like everyone on call has probably had some experience where you're just like, I can't believe someone's just being so upfront about this. But like, yeah, it's the vitriol that he has for this this group of people. It's just like, it's like who haven't, they're just like, who are his lifeline. Yeah. Like they're the thing that have kept him afloat, because they're the people that are making, and like he has that like again, like Sal is not, these people are all human. Right, and that's, again, I think the beauty of this film. And Sal obviously has his flaws, but there's that really harrowing scene kind of close to the turning point in the movie when he's having this conversation with his eldest son, and he's like, well, like, and we see kind of really where a lot of this comes from. He's like, my friends make fun of me, and his dad is like, your friends don't put food on the table, they don't put clothes on your back, they don't, if they're saying all these things about you just because you're making an honest living, like, newsflash, they're not your friends. And it goes back to like, this isn't born behavior, it's learned, right?
Racism is taught, bigotry is taught, and no one can convince me otherwise. I'm sorry. We don't come out the cooch hate people. We don't. Mm-hmm. We don't.
Lovely.
Okay, I mean, I do. I came out the cooch hating Taylor Swift, but that's a different conversation for a different day.
Well,
yeah, it was inherited, genetically inherited.
Okay, what? Yes, exactly. Well, Mama had taste. I think as well, because I was looking at more of like what was going on historically around that time of the movie to get into a better concept and better context of everything that was going on. You also have to remember that Reagan was president at that time. And he completely butchered the war on drugs, the AIDS epidemic. So you watched as a lot of black people were just dying, either from AIDS, not having resources, and then the war on drugs, which has turned on to black on black violence, gang violence. So you have to see where I think Spike, and again, I'm not speaking for Spike, I don't know him. Like, it's like, let me call Spike and say, hey, what were you thinking in 1988? No, I think he was saying, like, overall, we have to be there for each other, because at the end of the day, nobody will understand what we go through but us. And I don't think that was just a black person thing. I think that was just people in general. Nobody will go through what you go under. Nobody will understand what you go through except for the people you live with. Like, you can tell, we've all have neighbors where you can tell, okay, something's not right. I haven't seen him or her in so many days. Or they're not walking their dog. Their grass is overgrown. Their mail is piling up. The trash is like, you know when something's not right. And I think that is where, as people, compassion. And I think a lot of people have lost compassion, empathy, and understanding. And I think the conversation I think the overall conversation that a lot of people need to understand with the movie is, yeah, he's being silly, of course, because you have to humor because you don't want to lecture, you want a movie.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still relevant to this day, especially with come on now. Come on. Like, was everything going on politically? Like, I'm on the verge of a. That was me. That was me with the movie, like Spike.
Yeah.
Too soon, sir. Too soon. Like, it was too soon, but it makes sense because we are still dealing with it 30 some odd years later.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I mean, and then again to kind of recap, so the tensions boil over. There's the boycott kind of goes awry, and it explodes almost literally into this like riot, and people are brawling in the street, they're brawling in the store, and the police show up, and in their event to quote unquote like keep the peace and quell everything, they end up like sadistically, it is like they kill Radio Raheem, and they drag his body away, and Mookie being in a state of mind that is perhaps not like it's not outright stated for us, right, like why he did it, but he picks up a trash can, he chucks it through the window, and again the sort of things sort of ensue, and the pizzeria is ravaged and practically burned to the ground. And I have a question for Marquise. He knows this question is coming because he has stated his opinion on this to me a number of times. And I have my opinion, and my answer is kind of a cop-out. But, Marquise, because you have told me before, do you think Mookie did the right thing?
No, I would like to lay some groundwork here first. So my flat out answer is no. Mookie did not do the right thing. However, right? Mm-hmm. When I had first watched this movie, right, I was upset because I was very naive at the time, thinking that the protagonist is the voice of the movie, and it's stating explicitly what the thoughts of the movie is, right? So the movie was do the right thing. The protagonist must be doing the right thing according to the movie, right? But I have learned since then, since like going through film school, having actual discussions about film, that's not necessarily true, right? Mm-hmm. So while I don't personally believe Mookie did the right thing, right? He just saw his friend be brutally murdered, right?
Oh yeah.
He picks up the trash can and throws it through the pizza shop, causing an even bigger riot. Right? That may have been right to Mookie at the time because of the anger he was feeling. And so I do not fault him for throwing it for starting that riot, throwing the trash can through the building, right? It's like I may have very well done the same thing if I was in his position, correct? Right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, right, Saul and his sons did not kill Raheem. It was the police. So I feel at the end of the day, his anger was very much misdirected, right? But that being said, even though I think Mookie didn't do the right thing, I think the overall conversation and him perceivingly doing the wrong thing is better for the overall conversation, right? Because imagine the scenario where Mookie picks up the trash can and right about as he's about to throw it into the window, right? He's like, no, puts it down and like, guys, we're better than this, right? What is the statement being made there? Well, you know what I mean? That's not going to solve, like him being like, oh no, we're better than this, isn't going to solve the overall conversation of racism. If anything, people might walk away from the movie being like, oh well, like racial tensions in the real world are okay, right? But by Mookie throwing that trash can through the window, starting that riot, and things really not being resolved in any meaningful way, opens up that conversation, like opens up real world conversations about, okay, like what can we do to fix this problem? What can we do to stop this from happening more times in the real world? Unfortunately, that conversation hasn't amounted to anything to the real world either. but no, like I think Spike Lee did a beautiful thing, and yeah. So while at the end of the day, I don't think Mookie did the right thing, right? Because I think what he did could have been solved by like just everyone deciding to boycott Sal's and just not going there. Because in a month or two, he would have been out of business and had to like move anyways, and the shop would have been torn down. Instead, Mookie incited a riot, which ultimately, again, had like no real amalgamation of anything. It didn't do anything beneficial to the people of that community. If anything, it endangered them more. It put them into more negativity within the eyes of the police and the fire department, right? But like I said, in overall of the concept of the conversation, I think Mookie doing the wrong thing was the right thing to do from Spike Lee's perspective.
Yeah, I think sometimes you got to burn everything down to start over.
Yeah.
I would say it's kind of a shame, man. Like Radio Raheem died over a slice of pizza and a picture on the wall.
Yeah,
you know that's the point of it. Like,
yeah.
It's like you said, it's for nothing, right? Because the insurance is going to come and Sal's going to redo the place. He may lose his, people may not go back, but my mind is telling me that after it gets rebuilt, Sal's rebuilt back up. I got a feeling people are going to go back. Yeah. And his business will continue. So it's really like the cycle continues after in the end with the result that we got. So did he do the right thing? Probably not. No.
I don't have the exact quote. I don't have the exact quote, and I never want to encourage or discourage people from having personal interpretation. But I'm always with questions like these. I'm always like curious to what extent the author or the director is willing to comment on these sorts of like morality problems that they present their audience. And Spike Lee said something that has always sort of stuck with me about the ending of this movie, which is that he is never been approached by a black person. He's never had a black person ask him whether or not Mookie did the right thing. And almost all the people that have asked him were white. And he finds it really interesting. And again, it's incredibly poignant to me. And this isn't to like demonize anybody or elevate anybody on either side. But I think the point that he's trying to make and the point that he makes is that like it's interesting to him the demographics of the conversation of whether or not people are concerned about the death. Like the morality question that people are sort of like engrossed in at the end of this movie is like the concern about the property damage, the concern about all this like and like again like the property, like the material physical thing, and not like there's never like a discussion about like Radio Raheem. That's not where like the attention is pointed, and that to me is like again another point towards this like being scarily relevant sometimes,
I find it funny because I think that a lot of black people, I think it was something that we all understood. Like, I know for me, I can speak for me. I can't speak for Dion. I can't speak for the others. For the other people of color in the room. What? But I think overall for me, it's just, I understood Mookie where he was coming from, that frustration. And I think when he threw the trash can into the shop, it wasn't a direct fuck you to Sal. I think it was a fuck you to all the situations that have been slowly escalating that we have seen, and then what we have heard about, or what we are that are heavily implied, right? Mm. So I think in that moment he saw Sal's shop as the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah.
It was the straw. Because it's like, if it wasn't for you doing all of this and just put a picture on the wall, Raheem would be still alive. You wouldn't have called the police. They wouldn't have choked him out and threw him in the back of the trunk. They wouldn't have done that. But because you couldn't see past your own bigotry issues, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, he would still be here today. I would still be working my job, complacent. Because, you know, it's not like he was making a lot of money. He was complacent, you know? And I think he was frustrated with... It was very clear he was frustrated with his job. But he was just... I think he was so angry he couldn't see past, like, you're taking it out on the wrong person. Mm-hmm. But in my mind, I think he did the right thing because I think it woke up the community and it allowed them to put their issues to the side, whether it was, oh, I don't like you because in 1984, your grandma told my grandma to move out the way, you know, to let's put that down. There's a bigger issue. There's a bigger cause that we have to band together about. And look at what the community did. I mean, yeah, they mobbed and they rioted, but in a way, it was kind of beautiful to see them put their issues to the side and come together on behalf of Raheem and what they had experienced, what they had witnessed more, I should say. Mm-hmm. But that's just...
it's an ugly situation. And in real life, ugly situations happen with no clear-cut winning or losing. Casualties and destruction. And did anything change? No, nothing. I think what Spike Lee also did was put a nice reflective mirror to ourselves in a sense. You know, the conversations with the three lazy bum guys and say, you ain't doing shit. You so upset. Why don't you make your own business? You mad at the Koreans for opening up a store across the street? Where's your store? Right? You're mad. His sister, the sister mentioned, I think to Giancarlo saying, you know, you're smart, but you put your energy towards like irrelevant things. Like you could be so much more useful and resourceful. And like overall, you got Radio Raheem died over a pizza shop. You protested against a pizza shop in your neighborhood, like with all that energy and rah-rah. And it's like, what did it amount to? You know what I mean? It's like put that energy towards building up the black business, or so it's kind of that cycle of it's a cycle of like rinse and repeat, like a spiral of nothingness. I think that's kind of like the point of it.
That's kind of, I mean, that's kind of the point, right? Like the movie is not about answering the question, did Mookie do the right thing? It's about proposing it to you, the audience, to discuss.
No, I mean, and then I think shines through in the ending of it all. I mean, you have two quotes by, you know, paramount members of the civil rights movement, Dr. King and Malcolm X, and you have one that is advocating for no violence and one that is advocating for self-defense that may be called violence by other people. And the other thing as well, I brought up like the way the ending was sort of rewritten a little bit. I think originally as it was written, the very last interaction between Mookie and Sal was a lot more, they were kind of making up. It was a lot more amicable. Complete with like a studio note even, I think at one point that was like, oh, they should hug. And sort of, I don't know at what point in the process, but eventually Spike Lee, I guess, decided that was like, we don't know the story. I think there's just like a published like version of some of his just notes from working on the movie, and he just doodled, I think, in the margin of the page something to the effect of "too sweet." And I think that goes back to what Marquise was talking about, that if this movie had ended amicably, that if this movie had ended with everybody putting their differences aside, that if this movie had ended with them, you know, shaking their hands together and singing Kumbaya, it would have, I think, definitely brought down that message, because that's just not, if this is a movie about in our world, in this world, ending it like that, like that's just not the truth, I think. And so I think that's definitely, I think I 100% agree that it's about putting that question to us. But yeah, so I want to transition now, as we kind of start rounding things out here. I want to pose a question to you using our grading system, which is simply, would you recommend this movie? And potentially,
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
no, for sure. Yeah.
Because let me ask you. You guys said you Austin and Marquis said you watched this where?
This is the
In
first
film
time we
school.
saw this was at film school.
Film
Yeah.
school. Okay, so how old were you, if you don't mind me asking?
I was 17.
17.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just curious because just like I'm glad that it stuck with you for. How old are you guys now? Sorry.
I'm 21. Yeah, 21.
So it stuck for you for a long time. So I think
4 years.
it shows.
Yeah.
It, I guess if you can remember a movie when you were 6 and it still sticks with you at 30, I think it's you need to recommend this kind of movie. If we can have a hour-long discussion about a movie that was made almost 40 years ago, why not?
Oh, yeah.
So
Right.
that's how I look at it. So
Yeah, I mean, I think I almost cannot recommend this movie enough. You know, I think
Yeah.
going back to what I sort of said at the very beginning, that this movie is permanently relevant, perhaps in ways that are uncomfortable, but I think in ways that are also truthful. And I mean, I don't want to be like somber, because I think to me the thing that resonates with me is that like it would have been really easy to make this. I have a term for like movies that can describe a million different kinds of movies from a million different genres, but they're what I call misery porn, where it's just kind of like it is just you're putting the audience and your characters through a horrible experience, and there's no point. It's like a
no
haunted
relief.
house.
Yeah,
No, it's like
torture porn. Yep.
it's like a haunted house. It's like, and if you doing that for 2 hours, and it's just kind of like, well, it's impressive that like you had that many gallons of blood, but like I'm not getting anything other than that, right? Under those gallons of fake blood, like that was impressive that you guys spent all that money on that, but it's just to me, it's not doing a whole lot. And this to me, I think what elevates it, because again, it's always very easy, I think, to me as a struggling emerging writer, to just be like, okay, like we need conflict, so I'm just gonna put my characters through the ringer. But like this movie isn't just like a downer. But it's like it has so much heart in everything. It is sincere. It is funny. There's elements of elevated reality, because I mean it is a movie, but it's so like in its soul and its presentation, it's so colorful. Because our world can be.
It's got a lot of heart.
Yeah, and I think I will always be attracted to art that feels above all earnest, and that to me is this movie. So I cannot recommend it enough, I think. But yeah, I think with that brings an end to our primary discussion. Dion, Trey, where can our audience find you if you have some things you guys want to plug?
Dion, you're the busier man than me. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, shoot, man. I mean, you busting out scripts every other month, bro. I'm trying to get like you, man. You guys can find me on Instagram, YouTube. Me and my team here in BA, Third Eye Lens Productions. We do comedy, we do horrors, and then definitely this year for sure, Cost Famous is coming out. This year, 2026, it's coming out. It's coming out. Timestamp this right now. All right.
You know I'm going to hold you to that, right?
Yes.
I'm going to text you every day. Is it out
Yes.
today? Is it out now?
Timestamp it. It's coming out.
Okay.
I haven't forgot about it.
I'm going to send this clip to you every day until it's out. Oh, goodness.
All right, go ahead,
Wonderful.
man.
So you guys can find me on Instagram at Just Travian, JUSTTREVIAN, and that's just like my little Instagram, whatever. And then you can find me as well and my writing partner at Table Read Club, where we read scripts once a month. We get together, we go read, we do blind table read. So if you guys have a script, so Austin, Marquise, if you guys want to come join us, hang out with us, we get down and we read a script and we get feedback and we come together, and it's really a fun, safe space for writers, actors, directors, producers, people who just enjoy the arts to get together and just build a network and a community. Because me and my co-writer and co-founder of the club, when we started this club, the arts were really kind of being attacked for whatever reason. So we kind of wanted to create a safe space where we didn't feel like we were paying $200, $300 a month $200, $300 to get crappy script feedback versus people who give a fuck about you, and 16 however many people come and be like, here's good honest feedback that's free. So and also you build a community, you build a network, and like I said, I love these people. I look forward to those meetings. But you can find Table Read Club at Table Read Club on Instagram. So, and it's also linked in my Instagram if you want to look, and vice versa. And that's it for me.
Ooh. Awesome. Well, thank you all very much for joining me, and this is us once again signing off. So to our wonderful audience, thank you all for watching. I love you all, and good night.
Peace.